It occurred to me recently that a lot of people might not know why we have hybrid cameras, cameras that are primarily designed for photography, but that also shoot great video. This is a modern phenomenon, a place we found ourselves in the market. But if you weren't around back at the beginning, almost 20 years ago, sad to say, but it's true, almost 20 years ago is what kicked this off. And it occurred to me that there's people now shooting with these cameras that have no idea why this even happened. But before we get started, like this video, hit the subscribe button and consider joining the channel. Channel members get exclusive access to Filmmaker Alchemy, behind the scenes lessons and insights on the business of video production. Learn how to turn your content into gold. If you're looking at any modern hybrid camera, you'll probably see specs like 4K, 6K, 8K, 60 frames a second, ProRes, RAW, all the log profiles, 422 color sampling, IBIS, incredible video-centric features and codecs and performance and all that. And you might be just saying, yeah, that's a hybrid camera. That's what it does. It does photo and video. But it's kind of interesting to see how we got here, because all the way back when there were photography cameras and there were video cameras and they were totally separate, the bridge between those two worlds was kind of made by accident. It was never the intent to make photography cameras that could shoot 8K 60. Like, that wasn't the plan from the beginning. In fact, the plan was just to get live view going on these DSLRs. You see, I remember this way back when my dad picked up a camera from Best Buy, and it was a DSLR style camera. And he was so used to the point and shoots that he was looking at the back of the screen, expecting there to be something, some video display of what he was taking a picture of. And I was so young at the time, I didn't know any different. I just thought, oh, like, weird, I guess the camera can't do that. I don't know why. Because on the point and shoots, you had a nice view of what you could frame up, an LCD screen. And sure enough, the DSLR had an LCD screen as well, but there was no picture on it, no display. You could only review your images. You couldn't see what you were shooting. To see what you were shooting, you had to look through the viewfinder. And my dad didn't know any different. He just bought a camera at Best Buy. I didn't know any different. I was so young. And over time, I realized, oh, this is a limitation. The sensor is too big to do a video feed. And so what ended up happening with cameras around this time, something like the Canon 5D Mark II, but there were many others who implemented this feature as well, they figured out how to take that sensor feed and just stream it video to that back LCD display. The intent was that you'd still look through the viewfinder, but if you wanted live view, you could look at the back LCD and see what you were taking pictures of. Well, it just so happened that this technology, this live view, enabled the ability to shoot video on the camera as well. It was just a happy accident. Hey, isn't that neat? We have live view and now we can record videos. So your home movies, or if you need to take a quick clip of something, you can do that. You just record a video. Well, this was kind of a game changer, and it was called the DSLR revolution for a reason. You see, something like the 5D Mark II was a full frame camera. Anything that was doing video before this was much smaller in terms of sensor size. So the depth of field was a lot deeper. You could never get that shallow depth of field cinematic look on any home video camera, any consumer level device. It just wasn't a thing. If you wanted shallow depth of field, you needed to shoot film, or you needed to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, you probably couldn't even buy the cameras that could do it because they were rental only for Hollywood productions. So this tiny little photography camera, something like the 5D Mark II, although it wasn't the only one doing it, but it was certainly the most popular at the time. Full frame camera, shallow depth of field, and now I can get that in video. Holy cow, I can make movies on my photography camera. This was the DSLR revolution. And it's so interesting that it happened by accident, just purely from a holdover from trying to figure out live view, trying to make it operate more like a consumer camera for photography. Because there's a lot of people who will say, no, you only need to look through the viewfinder. But there's a lot of other people who like just looking at the LCD and taking a picture in that live view mode. Adding the video recording was just a nice extra benefit. I don't think at that time anyone could have ever predicted we would now have photography cameras shooting 8K 60, photography cameras being used for feature films, something like Presence, where Steven Soderbergh shot, I believe, on the A9 II or 3, one of the Sony cameras. I'm forgetting which one off the top of my head. But there's been plenty of movies made over the years, starting all the way back for the 5D Mark II and that DSLR revolution, which is crazy to say that that was nearly 20 years ago. Crazy how much has changed in that time. And I imagine there's people who are, born and lived and have gone through college now and are looking to shoot movies or YouTube content, whatever it might be, using these cameras and going, yeah, of course, this hybrid can, 4K, of course. But back then, it was unheard of. It was totally foreign and not even the initial intent or design, which is why it took Canon so long to actually pivot and embrace video on their hybrids compared to some of the other companies that say a little bit smarter, a little bit quicker, a little bit wiser, reading those tea leaves and realizing how important video was becoming. Because again, this is way back at YouTube was barely a thing. It was viral cat videos and silly memes and home videos back then. It wasn't what it is now, which is an entire, global empire of content creators who are shooting video with all sorts of cameras, whether it's, the high-end people, YouTubers who are shooting on Red, or it's just your typical daily vlogger shooting on a GoPro. Video is more important than ever now. And it's crazy to think that almost 20 years ago, we were shooting, 2 megapixel videos on our cell phones, and it was grainy and terrible and awful. And you could pick up a camcorder and it would just look like a camcorder, which maybe is now back kind of in vogue, is the cool trend to shoot more retro, to shoot more VHS style, camcorder style. Certainly a lot of people love the 4:3 aspect ratio now. Oh, we're sick of 16:9. We're sick of HD. We're sick of Ultra HD and 4K. We want some lo-fi VHS 4:3 video, which is cool. It's an aesthetic. You can choose to shoot that way if you want to. But it's funny how things come full circle, and there's always, once something becomes popular, there's always the pivot to either the new thing or the old thing, and the cycle continues. But I'm really glad that this happened when it did, especially for me and my career and where I was at the time. I was in film school during this whole thing. And so I was able to buy the Lumix GH1 because that was much cheaper, much more affordable for my modest budget at the time, trying to scrape together a few dollars here and there to get something that could compete with the people who had the luxury of shooting on the 5D Mark II. And in fact, I would argue the Lumix GH1 was better video quality than the 5D Mark II. Just depends on what you're looking at. Do you want resolution? Do you want shallow depth of field? There's always things to consider. But I'm really glad I chose the GH1 way back when, and that's kept me on the trajectory that I've been on ever since. And crazy to think that that's almost 20 years ago that all this stuff kicked off and we actually got video in our photo camera. Almost like oops, we put video in our photo camera. What are we ever going to do? Canon tried to do their cinema line, which, they succeeded at. It certainly was popular and still is, I would say, to a degree. But the hybrids, that's my sweet spot. That's the bread and butter that I love. I love taking pictures and switching to video and back to photo, whether I need a thumbnail, whether I'm shooting YouTube content, whether it's a commercial or a web explainer or a corporate interview or a documentary. There's so much you can do with these hybrids, and it's so valuable to have one camera, one lens, one battery, one memory card, where you can do it all. You don't need multiple camera bodies. You don't need a ton of different lenses and different battery styles and different support, whether you're doing photo or video. It makes so much sense to do it all in one. And that's why I love where we're at. We have now amazing full frame mirrorless cameras that can do 4K 60. They can do 8K 60. They can do 6K 60. It's pretty crazy. All great, easy to use formats that way back then, it was such a pain. It was a nightmare. We were jumping through all sorts of hoops just to try to make it work because the shallow depth of field, that was the sweet spot. Now we've got RAW, we've got log, we've got 422, we've got frame rates, we got IBIS, we got everything you can need and more. And it's so funny that it all happened kind of by accident.